I can tell you what this new agreement means for Detroit Public Schools. Given our declines in overall student population across the city of Detroit, we know that we'll need to close schools in the future. I'm here to state publicly that from this point forward, we will never again accept failure as long as I'm leading this school district. We will establish a clear practice of closing programs in schools that continue to fail our children. We can't accept that. We will no longer tinker with programs in our schools that show little improvement. Likewise, we will never again close a school program that is performing. If a good program is in a bad building or a sparse neighborhood, we move that program intact to a better location, taking actions where necessary will allow us to significantly increase the number of quality seats within the DPS system of schools. In order to make these critical decisions, we will take several steps which were previously announced, including creating a portfolio of self-governing schools where decisions about hiring, curriculum, and budget will all be made at the school level, and to intensify, actually strongly intensify, our research-based practice of support for the centrally supported schools that begin to see real gains in student achievement. We think it's absolutely critical. Using these tools, DPS will make internal accountability decisions about the schools and our portfolio with the goal of increasing our overall quality at the center of the decision-making process. In addition, these tools will allow parents to make apples-to-apples comparisons when choosing a school for their children. Parents and policymakers will easily be able to tell which schools are making the mark and which schools are not. DPS will take the bold actions necessary to make these decisions as easy as possible for all the parents in the greater Detroit area. Our citywide partners have committed to these standards for this bold action. And as a result, all students and families citywide will benefit from transparency about performance and commitment to improving the quality of all of our schools. And as we look to tackle the challenges we face in our city and our schools, we must continue to be bold in our thinking. We must join together to create a movement in our community that no longer accepts failure and mediocrity, a movement that isn't afraid to do things differently and to think outside the box, a movement that harnesses our human talents to make a sustainable difference in local school communities, and a movement that ignores the historic barriers of race and class that have plagued progress in this region for far, far too long. The time has come for all of us to come together and advance a common agenda that will not tolerate the status quo, that isn't afraid of innovation, that isn't afraid of working across historic barriers, that isn't afraid of doing things that have never been done before. The time to start talking about what to do has come, and the time to start doing it is now. It was yesterday, and we're ready to move. Thank you all very much.
The Education Achievement Authority will use a total of 10 performance metrics to measure the effectiveness of our schools in realizing increasingly significant gains in student achievement. 3 of these metrics involve assessment. We will measure ourselves against college and career readiness standards, and more importantly, against the individual growth targets and promote graduation by portfolio as we gauge our students' 21st century skills.
The Michigan Council of Charter School Authorizer, an organization responsible for over 85% of all public charter schools in this state. The Council's highest priority is to prepare students for college, work, and life. Today's announcement moves us one step closer to this goal. Last year at this conference, the Council members held an education reform town hall event and announced a dramatic plan
reading the release, it says that this now unifies everybody. Everybody's on board. Everything's the same. Isn't that what the school district and the other schools are already supposed to be doing? So how does this differ from what the original goal should be?
I think from a state standpoint, we all have to follow the same state standards. But quite honestly, there's been a war between DPS and charter schools. A lot of people in Detroit didn't want charter schools to exist. I think the state legislature has spoken. We accept that. And the best thing we can do is what this thing is all about. This 3-day is all about. It's about collaboration, cooperation, how we come together and make the most of it. And I just couldn't be happier about where we are today.